Thank you. Good morning. My name is Patrick Fisher, and I'm the Chief Exec at Pulse Smart Hub. Now, I'm a Birmingham boy. I grew up in the West Midlands. And the proudest moment in my hometown's history, the kind of heyday, if you will, for Birmingham, was the mid to late 18th century. So we're going back a while. But this was a period of the Midlands Enlightenment, when preeminent thinkers of their time got together and discussed the latest science of the day. Newtonian physics, chemistry, all these abstract ideas, and they were trying to work out how to make them useful, how they could get practical applications that would later lay the foundations for the Industrial Revolution. And it really feels that there are huge similarities between where they were then and where we are now. So many new technologies that are just coming of age that are going to change the way we live in cities forever. A contrast, though, is the Midlands Enlightenment triggered the Industrial Revolution, which in turn caused the biggest wave of urbanisation that we've ever seen. The Smart City Revolution is a reaction to that urbanisation. And we do need to react. We do need to respond. I won't go too heavily into the statistics, but by 2050, there'll be a third more people on this planet. 2/3 of those people will be living in cities. And that's impossible for me to really sort of comprehend the impact that that has environmentally, socially, how it's just all managed. There's also an economic necessity that faces all of us in the UK at the moment. Whether you voted to leave or remain, it's hard to argue that there has ever been a more important time for UK SMEs, UK businesses, to be trailblazing on the world stage in tech, in creative, in these digital arenas. That's where the growth is. That's where the UK needs to be. So we've got the opportunities. There's loads of new technology that we're just seeing really starting to come of age and can be used in lots of scenarios within cities, but it's not quite there yet. We've got the necessity from Brexit. We've got the necessity from mass growth in population and urbanisation. So this sort of smart city wave is being generating momentum for a while, but why hasn't it broken yet? Now, one of the reasons, without a doubt in my mind, is austerity. And Black & Veatch did a study earlier this year. They found that of all the municipalities that they surveyed and local governments, that the top reason for lack of uptake of smart solutions was lack of funding and resource. In the UK, any of you who work in local government will know only too well that central government funding to local government has almost halved over the last 10 years. Now, the difficulty that we face as a sector is that any smart city project, business or solution, at some point in some way needs the involvement of the public sector and local government for it to get off the ground. It's not that the governments want to hold things back. Their hands are tied by budget cuts and restraints. So at Pulse Smart Hub, despite austerity, we've been developing a product and a way of working in a business that will see large-scale deployment of smart city technology across cities around the UK and eventually the world. So how are we doing it? Well, I'd just like to take you through a little bit of background on Pulse, and I can talk you through how. So at Pulse, we design and implement smart street furniture. We're an SME based in Hammersmith, designers, engineers, town planners, and our first product is Pulse Smart Hub. When we conceived what Pulse should be, we started with a question. With all of the technology that's available to us at the moment, how can that best be harnessed to address as many of the issues that towns and cities face today? And then from an aesthetic point of view, we looked at the high street and took inspiration. We did a kind of survey or looked at what the existing street furniture in the UK was like. And we kind of identified 3 common trends. Firstly, it was durable. Secondly, it was cheap. Thirdly, it solved one function. Go back further than that, and you've got some of the finest pieces of British design, the K6 phone box, the red letterbox, the Routemaster bus. They all have this kind of quintessentially English design language. And then we gave it a kind of more modern smartphone twist, because it's far from a single function. Its multifunctionality is one of its key attributes. So, what does Pulse do? Well, at its heart, it's a communications hub. It keeps people and devices connected. You can make free phone calls. There's a public Wi-Fi network. We're also working with Belfast and several other cities now to have a LoRaWAN network. We're also developing a multi-carrier 5G small cell for the unit. It's a smart city platform. Each and every Pulse unit on the street is constantly sensing its environment and reporting back in real time. Environmental sensing, air quality, footfall. All of this information is collecting, and then we are publishing open source so that councils, SMEs, universities, academia can take this data and start using it for more dynamic smart city solutions. It's an information platform. Our partners in Belfast, one of our partners in Belfast, to Visit Belfast. You can go to one of these hubs and find out what's going on in the city right now. There's local charities that we're partnering with so that people can get access to that to help when they need it. Council contacts. It's also a digital wayfinding platform. If you just think how much money the public sector spend on those analog wayfinding totems, you've got to put them in the ground, you've got to maintain them, and then you've got to change them and update them as cities evolve. They're taking up valuable space on the pavement and performing one function. With Pulse, you can go in, type in where you want to go. It'll give you 3 different routes of how you're going to get there, tell you how long it's going to take. It's just a better solution. The final kind of key element of Pulse, or the standard feature that we're launching with, is the public access defibrillator. Now, this actually is my favourite feature. 30,000 people have an out-of-hospital sudden cardiac arrest in the UK each year. Of those 30,000 people, only 9% survive. Now, if you look at Holland, that statistic is 21%. Finland is 25%. One of the biggest things that we can do to boost that statistic and get higher than 9% and get closer to our European counterparts is installing public access defibrillators in public places where they're most needed, high footfall areas in city centres. Of the 30,000 out-of-hospital sudden cardiac arrests, those that were given defibrillation before the ambulance got there, survival rates went up to 59%. 9% to 59%. That's huge. So all of the technology that we're putting into Pulse is really high quality stuff. It's not like we just put any defibrillator in there. It's the best defibrillator that money can buy, chosen in collaboration with London Ambulance Service. It's the same ones that the Met Police have just started carrying, and that applies to the environmental sensors that EnviroWatch have provided. All of the tech is first rate. So why are we doing it? How can we pay for it? It's no cost to the user, no cost to the taxpayer, and we are scaling smart city technology in city centres. Advertising. It's been paying for bus shelters for decades, subsidising public transport costs, everyone's social media, all funded through advertising. But we can use the revenue from advertising and apply it to tackling some of the biggest issues that face UK cities today. Air quality, for example. The World Health Organization says that air quality or air pollution is the single biggest cause of premature death in Europe. Royal College of Physicians attribute 40,000 deaths every year to air quality. It's a crisis that faces UK cities. So what can Pulse do about it? Well, unfortunately, it can't purify the air of nitrogen dioxide and particulate matter. If any of you have that technology available, then please do come and talk to me. we'd love to include it. What it can do, though, is give a really robust platform of which to benchmark other clean air initiatives. Belfast, I would argue, will be able to understand their air quality situation better than most other cities in the UK because of what we're doing. We're using really high quality electrochemical sensors and publishing data minute by minute, which will enable dynamic traffic management. Our business model is underpinned by advertising. That's what funds this smart city development. Our approach is one of collaboration, and when I say in-depth stakeholder collaboration, let me illustrate what I mean from an example. When we went to Belfast, before we made any planning applications for any units, we went and spoke to every single stakeholder that we could think of that might have an interest in what we were doing, who we might be able to work with to maximise the potential of what Pulse can do. Emergency services, planning officers, officers of the council, political parties, business improvement districts, you name it. And through this collaboration process, we actually refined our offer in lots of different ways. Public messaging was a big one. The police, we're developing now for Police Service Northern Ireland the ability for them to override the screen. So in an emergency scenario, they can speak to people on the streets, giving them the information that they need at that time. City centre management, they want to be able to let people know before they go back to their cars during rush hour that if there's a road closure or a traffic incident, they want to tell people so an alternative course of action can be taken. And every city that we're talking to has different objectives, so we're tailoring Pulse city by city. One city wants to try and bridge the digital divide. So we're not just focusing on the city centre, and we're having smart hubs in areas just outside. For another city, the homeless community is a big issue. They want to be able to help. They want to ensure that they have real-time information that homeless community can access to find out where they can get the necessary services when they need them. So the great thing about what we're doing is not only are we doing a bespoke offer for every single city we go into, by going through that process, we can develop some kind of common best practice. So the units that are going into Belfast today will be different from how they'll be in 12 months' time. What we've learned in London, we can apply to Belfast, and so on. And so on, you have this chain reaction of innovation. I'd like to leave it there, but I would, on the note of collaboration, I would say that we're always looking at different ways that we can enhance Pulse Smart Hub, either through applications, IoT extensions. So events like this, Connected World, is really the best opportunity that we all get as a sector to meet, to talk, to share best practice. So please do come and have a chat with us on the stand. We're here for the next couple of days. Thank you.